This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. Killer show yesterday, so the whole first segment I wasn't planning on getting into like mind, body, spirit, health, fueling your body, being able to survive 15 hours on the water without having a mental and physical breakdown. But that's kind of where we ended up with Carl Jacobson. It was very enlightening, eye-opening. Obviously, different strokes for different folks, but I'm Red Bull free this morning, and I'm drinking a black coffee, so if that means anything, he made some small impact, not only on nature and conservation with what he did with his worldwide cleanup effort, where I think they were over tons of garbage that they removed out of 70 lakes across the country, and then I think he said 6 different countries that got involved in that. So anyway, today is a show that I've been wanting to do for 6 months, 8 months. I've had a brief conversation with our guest today off air about it, and I feel like kind of a little bit of a jackass sometimes, because there's guys you start a conversation with and I go, no, shut up, don't say anything, I want to have this conversation on air. And then schedules didn't realign, and this dude's like leading angler of the years and top 5ing and 10ing and winning everything, and it's Kyle Welcher, so we're gonna bring him in now. What's up, Kyle?
How you doing?
How many times have, I think we've started this conversation 3 or 4 times, and I've cut you off every single time when we get into what we're going to get into today, because I want the first unabridged version of this to be live on BTL. I have no idea how it's going to go. I have no idea if the viewers and listeners are going to be interested in this. I know that there's a small small percentage that revolt whenever we talk about bowling comparisons or golf comparisons. We're going to talk about another comparison today, but I'm beyond pumped for this show.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's not a perfect parallel, but it's kind of eerily similar. The two activities, I guess you call them, because they're both games of incomplete information, and now there's some things that have came about that have made you have a lot more complete information in the past few years. So there are some pretty definite parallels, but they're not exactly the same, but I think they're close enough.
Absolutely. All right, let's get the fishing out of the way first. The insignificant, because heaven forbid we talk about fishing on BTL. Congratulations, leading progressive angler of the year on the MPFL with one event left. You're two events left. Sorry, 2 events left, but a tight race. It's dude, this is pretty interesting. I'm going to say this, and Kyle's going to sit here and probably get a little bit awkward with it, but the best in the world are the best in the world for a freaking reason. And I'm not saying that the MPFL doesn't have a lot of talent in it, but you've got some of the best in the world that are fishing over at the MPFL this year. It was a decided switch with a big group of highly talented anglers. Patrick Walters, we've seen guys that have dabbled with it in the past, but there's a core group of guys that are considered the best in the world that are going over there. And I say this to show how far ahead the top guys in the world. I didn't plan on doing this, Kyle. Sorry, I didn't mean to start off with a rant. I could put you backstage before I do this, because I just realized this. But the MPFL has a strong field of dedicated anglers who have had success across the country at a wide level of tournament skills, from Toyotas, invitationals, opens, regionals, team tournaments, all the way down. But you put guys who cast, catch, make a living, feed their families through this, and this is kind of like what we're seeing with in a roundabout, the golf influencers, where they put Bob Does Sports on the US Open course with the rough, with everything, and you're always I wonder what they would shoot against the top, and it's 120, 130, 100. The top 5 oh God, this is even worse than I thought, or better than I thought. Have you looked at the list of Angler of the Year with 2 left on the MPFL?
I have not, no.
You are leading it. Greg Hackney is second. Patrick Walters is third. Brandon Cobb is fourth. No, there's no way that's right. Yeah. Official 2025 Angler of the Year standings after stop 4 as of 6/22. Kyle Welcher, Greg Hackney, Patrick Walters, Brandon Cobb, Gerald Swindle, Caleb Kupal, Scott Canterbury, Drew Cook, the top 8. Then you have Hunter Sales, KJ Queen, and Jason Burrows. Like, look at that. Those are like top. Like, it's amazing. Like, just, I think you forget how good the good guys are.
Well,
and you're right now the best.
The MPFL also has like a 3. By the way, I thought Patrick was in second. I didn't know Hackney was. But anyways, the MPFL.
They're tied.
Okay, they're tied. The MPFL has 3 days where there's no cuts at all. And I think that just like benefits the pros also, because like when you've been fishing, multi-day tournaments for 5 years and you got guys who haven't, it just, that extra day, like day 3 is just such a weird day in all these multi-day tournaments. Like you see it in every single event, like Toyota Series, there's guys who'll be leading that just don't catch them on day 3. There's guys that make big moves. Day 3 is a weird day in multi-day tournaments, and adding that day, I think it really benefits the pros that have done it for a while, more than other circuits, because it doesn't matter if you're in, there's a lot of the elite guys have been in 60th going into day 3 and then move up to, 30th or whatever. Like, it's that day 3 is kind of a curveball and everybody has to fish it.
Yeah. Now you guys only got, I believe, 2 days in at Eufaula at this last one. High muddy water. You've been there a couple of times. Like, what were your thoughts on Eufaula? You grinded out a 13th place finish, 12-5 on the first day, 13-8, but kind of just, I fish Eufaula a lot and have for a number of years. Going into that, I was like, man, I think like Kyle Welcher might enjoy this style of fishing on Eufaula.
I did. It was a tough tournament because it was fishing so small, and I had never been there, and then I only got 2 days of practice. So one day of practice, how many days of practice did I get? I got like a day.
You had 10 killer. It was like right after 10 killer, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right after. Yeah.
Yep.
I can't remember, but I think I only got like a day and a half of practice or something. That could be wrong. I might have got 2 full days of practice. But, dude, it's so big, and I just, like, ran around and looked. I didn't even hardly fish much in practice. And then I found a couple areas that I felt like were obviously better because everybody was in there in the tournament. But it fished so small. That was kind of – I love fishing like that, but I like it whenever it kind of spreads out a little bit and you can find some stuff to yourself and then manage the area yourself in a grinder. That one – you couldn't do it because everybody was rotating on the same thing. But it's crazy how there's like tiny little sweet spots where like good ones get, and then like it's like one cast, and like you might catch like it's the same exact cast. You'll catch a good one like every day, or in practice, then you'll catch another one in the tournament. But it's like it's not really like an area deal there, which it seems like it would be because it's like flooded. It was like very, very specific where the better quality seemed to get for me anyways.
Yeah, that seems typical, pretty typical of Oklahoma. So like I used to fish a lake called Keystone a lot. You have no upcoming tournaments on Keystone, do you, Kyle?
I've never even heard of Keystone. So
okay, so we can speak freely and openly about Keystone Lake. When it floods, they get hard in the bushes on Keystone. And you look at across the lake, if you're just fishing, and you might fish 8 bushes, and then if you fish 1 bush 4 times, every time your stuff goes down, swims off, and you're like, the hell is that? Or maybe a stretch of 2 or 3 bushes, and you go back when the water's down, or you look at it on Google Earth. I'm thinking of like 3 or 4 specifically, where there's like a bush that looks no different than all the other bushes. And then when the water's down and you're like cranking the bank or doing something top water in the bank, and you go down and you look up and you're like, well, son of a gun, that's that bush that we caught that 6-pounder on in the spring when it was flooded, and it's like rock on it, and then it's just like literally like straight drop, or there'll be like a rock pile under some of the bushes. It's like a real specific thing that is underneath those flooded bushes that make them all look the same at the top. But you look at it when on Google Earth or when it's down and you're looking at it in person, and you're like, okay, you can tell why a fish would be up underneath that bush.
Right. So you could just go on drawdown and just mark all the juice if it's
we've done that 100%. Are the bushes so 10 killer? You came off a great tournament on 10 killer as well. 15, 12, 16, 14, third place. Wes Logan got you by about 3 pounds there. But was that a bush deal for you too there?
It was some. It ended up towards the end of the tournament not being really like even Wes like started catching them more out of like run in places with log jams and stuff. But the first day of the tournament, I caught some out of bushes or even actually scoping some out in front of the bushes. But by the end of the tournament, to me, the better quality was not really in the bushes. On average, it seemed like when you flip bushes, you could catch a 1.5 pounder to a 3 pounder. But it seemed like whenever the other deals that I had, they were like 2 1/4s to 3 1/2s. So it was like I felt like I had a little bit better quality, not just flipping bushes. But I know Brandon Card caught him flipping bushes at one area that I was fishing. I never got to fish exactly where he was fishing, but he caught some really good ones flipping. But even that was mostly like willow trees on this one specific willow tree that I never got to hit in the tournament because he circled it the whole time.
Dude, he's not afraid to homestead. Like if I was going to name the top 5 homesteaders on the Elite Series, Brandon Card would definitely be like one or two. Like he'll find a stretch and he will saturate it with his offerings.
It's impressive because I'm probably at the bottom of the list for people like that. Like there's something about my brain where I cannot really do it. Like I think it's like I don't think it's like cocky, but it's almost like a false arrogance. It's like I can find something else, like that's how I feel. And that's even like how I feel whenever I'm scoping and like I get an area where like they're acting goofy. I mean, I can find another place, and there's times when you do, but then there's times when you don't. So it's, I wish I could do that a little bit better.
Is there anywhere else in the country where the bush is set up like they do in Oklahoma? You've seen how it is. You saw how it was at 10 killer. I mean, where you're talking like that kind of slope of bank, that rock under them, those style of bushes that you can flip. Am I oblivious? Is that like the same exact bush setup that's across the country, or is that kind of a unique region of Oklahoma, the way those bushes set up?
That they set up different on every single lake a little bit, I think it depends on how often the water like comes up a ton is what it seems like. But like that North Texas area, Ray Roberts, they seem to be similar, but like the ones on Douglas, we flipped bush on, they didn't really feel the same, they were a little bit different. And there was also like a million more fish in Douglas. Like you couldn't hardly flip a stretch of bushes on Douglas without catching one.
Dude, there's so many in 10 killer. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
It would blow your mind.
Well, they were a little stubborn when we were there.
Yeah, no, you hit it at a weird in between time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've been able to power fish. You take a look at what you've done at the Sabine, what you've done at the last couple MPFL events, what you did at 10 killer there. Like it's had to have been a fun month and a half for you.
Yeah. I don't care if you're finessing them. Whenever you're having good results, it's fun. But it's kind of been, I guess all this rain and high water and everything's kind of just put it to how I like to fish. I mean, I'm super confident whenever I get to flip, and then typically if I can find one more deal, like catching them winded or on top water or something, like that's my jam. Like I love that. I have so much confidence fishing a tournament flipping, and it seemed like I've been able to flip in like the last 5 tournaments almost primarily, and then caught a few on a frog and stuff like that along the way. But it's just been like a month of flipping, so I think we're all good with that.
Yeah, Oklahoma's been pretty wild. I've actually had to like mow my grass like every 3 days that I've been home because we've had so much rain. So like a little fun story here. Like 2 days ago, I jump on the mower again. I'd used it the day before. I just did like a top cut and then to go back and like make it look really good. And no click, nothing. I got John Deere D170. If you actually go to like Google Maps, if you knew what my address was, what the Google Maps car drove past my house, I was out mowing in the John Deere D70 with cutoff shirt on. It's fantastic. You can get down on Street View, and there I am just like doing yard work. But my starter solenoid went out. Actually, it just didn't click. I spent the last day and a half researching why my mower won't start. So I think I've got the starter solenoid. 5 minutes before the show, the solenoid actually showed up at my doorstep, and I've disconnected the battery. So I'm pumped afterwards. Because of all this rain, I get to go see if it is the starter solenoid. If not, And anybody knows what else it might be with the John Deere D170, hit me up in the DMs.
You're fired up about mowing some grass.
Dude, I love mowing grass. Are you not a mower?
I can like zone out and do it sometimes, but I'm not like a routine every like twice a week guy. Like I'm not.
I mean, it's not like luscious. It's got weeds in it and stuff, but like I've got a bit over 2 acres, and like I love like hopping on the mower, just getting a nice cold one next to you and just mowing. Because you have to drink it because like it's not like smooth. Like kind of out in the country, right? So if you wait to drink your beer till like halfway through, it's just straight foam.
Yeah, there's like bugs and grasshoppers all around it and stuff.
Yeah, big time. All right, I'm gonna pull up. This is we're gonna get right to this. I'm gonna pull up an article. Yeah, screw it. We'll get right into it. 17 minutes in. I have no idea where this is going to go, so kind of lead. This is your expertise. For those who live under a rock, 30 seconds. You have been a cash game and a tournament poker player for a long time. There was a period in your life where you actually rented a place in Vegas and did that as a full-time income. The money per hour is like treated that like a job, playing cash games, playing tournaments. You would say the primary chunk of your income came from playing live in-person poker games and online poker.
Yeah, it was basically no tournaments. It was just cash games. I played some tournaments rarely, but it was just cash games because of the consistency. And then we actually drove an RV from Alabama to every single poker room on the way to Vegas, and then out to California, and then stayed in Vegas for like 7 months, and then drove out to California and drove back. And that I did though for sure from the time I was 19 until 18, really 19 until second year on the elites. That was where the majority of my, or almost all of my income came from, was cash game poker, you know.
How many people would you say, like, if there's 150 top level professional anglers between the Elite Series and the BPT, how many cash game and tournament poker pros would you say there are? Are we talking thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds? Like what just size comparison?
Probably not 10,000, but definitely a few thousand, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 probably. I mean, I would have to think about it more in depth, but like there's typically a couple, probably 3, 4, 5 in every single poker room, and then the big poker rooms like in the big cities and stuff can sustain more than that. So I mean, anywhere that runs a 2-5 game consistently is going to have a pro or two that lives around there.
2-5 means your blinds are $2 and $5. So for those who don't play poker, every time it goes around the table, there's a little chip that moves around. So every time it goes around, you're in $7 if you're in 5. So 2-5 is, there's 1, 2, there's 2-5, there's 5, 10, and it goes on up and it gets big. But 2-5, like an average cash game on 2-5, let's say you sit down and play for 4 hours, like what's your average size pot, would you say, in a 2-5 game, just to give people a concept of what kind of money we're talking about here?
So typically whenever you're playing 2-5, most places in the country now, you're buying in for like $1,000 typically.
Yep.
And the swings on that are in a day, it's pretty common to win or lose $500 to $800-900. Like that's pretty common swings, you know. I mean, it can be a lot higher than that typically, but the reason I bring up 2-5 because that's like the kind of the smallest stakes you can play and actually make a living playing poker. That's
Toyota series, like in between BFL and Toyota series of cash game poker.
I would say that if you're playing 2-5, you'll make more money than fishing the Toyota series.
I'm just trying to do a parallel to it.
Yeah,
so like 1-2 would be like your club tournaments, maybe jumping in a BFL or something. 2-5, a little bit more. And then you also have a whole nother sector, which is the tournament play. That's the World Series of Poker. That's where back in the day, you're talking your Phil Hellmuths, your Ivies, your Mike the Mouth Matisows, all of those kind of group that came up in the mid 2000s, kind of became famous, where it would be live from the Rio with Norm and Chad and those guys, hey, we're live from the Rio. It's a World Series of Poker Day 8, the $1 million payouts. That's the tournament game.
That's the tournament game. And a little backstory on the tournaments. The reason the whole tournament started was because the guys in Vegas who played cash games wanted a way to bring in new like players, and then that big prize pool, that top prize, that would get kind of the gamblers to come and want to play. Then after they started playing these big tournaments, everybody who made money in the tournaments would go play in the big cash games because they just won hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it started as just a way to get people to come and play cash. And then now tournament poker has, definitely became way, way more famous than cash games, but it's still a way worse way to make a living. Like there's a huge controversy right now in the tournaments where the super high roller tournaments, everybody that plays them is like these super pros, like super pros. Nobody has an edge on anybody. There'll be like 2 billionaires that play $100,000 buy-in. And like right now, I've been watching podcasts lately about there's a debate on if it's even possible to make basically any money in these tournaments because nobody has an edge on anybody because the game's relatively solved. And the buy-ins that they're playing, that like they're cashing. There's guys who've cashed for like $50 million in tournaments or $30 million in tournaments, but over the course of 5 years, their buy-ins are 28 million. Like that's how much their buy-ins have been. It like because they're playing $100,000, $250,000 tournaments like every week, So the tournaments it's very similar in that where there's like a lot of people right now saying that you can't make any money playing tournaments.
Circuit wise, now I'm not exactly sure how the circuits work now. I know there used to be the P professional poker tour that was like on a different channel that wasn't associated with the World Series of Poker, but then there's like a World Series of Poker tour that culminates with a month long, and you're talking about it's not just Texas Limit, no hold'em, you have Pot Limit, Omaha, all sorts of different World Series bracelets that you can win kind of during this 3-week month deal in Vegas. But is that whole kind of circuit and tournament, does that work similar to like FLW or MLF and Bass, where you have a couple that are kind of jiving for each other on different networks and channels and different pros that are with each different organization?
I would say you have like the WSOP, which is like, I'm not trying to do anything, but like I think that's like Bassmaster. And then you have like the WPT that came around. It's like FLW will be the World Poker Tour. That was with Mike Sexton and all them started that. But then like the WSOP has circuit events, and the circuit events happen like they last for like 2 weeks, and they go all around the country from like Fort Lauderdale, Harris Cherokee, like they have one in Durant, Oklahoma, Choctaw Durant. Like they have all over the country. They have these like 2-week long things like circuits, and they'll have buy-ins from $400 all the way up to usually like $3,000-$4,000.
And do you have to qualify to do this, or can you just go jump in and do it?
You can go jump in and do basically all of these. Like there might be some of like the big heads up tournaments that are like 25,000 where there'll be a list of people and it's kind of like political. But other than that, you can go to Vegas right now and get in basically any of the tournaments that's left. You can get in any of them. Okay.
And then I'm just trying to stay with us here, people. We're getting to it, but you have to set the picture. I think we're doing a decent job, right, Kyle?
I think
Am I missing out anything? Am I not? So the Super Bowl of poker, the Bassmaster Classic of poker, we'll say that, is the Texas Hold'em No Limit main event that is held every year in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it'll be like the same week that I'm in New York fishing the NPFL. Like it'll be next week is whenever that one starts. It's the WSOP main event, $10,000 buy-in. That's the biggest one of the year. It's not really the most prestigious in the pros' eyes that are out there playing, but it is the most prestigious to the community that are casual watchers. That's definitely the number one tournament.
And that's a $10,000 buy-in, and all your top pros are in it, and anybody who else wants to be in it is
there'll be like 10,000 people in it.
Yeah. Do you want to see a video from one of the 10,000 that was in it like 13 years ago?
Do what?
Do you want to see a video? So like, do you want to see a video from someone who was in the main event like 13 years ago?
Yeah, I feel like I'll most recognize him.
Okay. Let's share the audio to this. This person was here for his 50th birthday. And we talked about this before, but I just remind everyone every now and then, due to gracious donations from the likes of Kevin Van Dam, Ski Reese, Edward Evers, Kenyon Hill, Dean Rojas, and it didn't go well.
It usually doesn't in poker tournaments.
Day 1A saw Mark Jeffries fall first and fall fast, but all was not lost. We managed to talk him down and present him an incredible package, courtesy of the Anonymous Poker Series. The $6,600 package includes a round-trip ticket to Manila in the Philippines, hotel accommodation, spending money, and a seat at the inaugural Anonymous Poker Series with a guaranteed prize pool of $100,000.
I'm very, very excited. That first day, my very first World Series of Poker, and I was really happy to be here. My wife actually got it for me, got the seat as a 50th birthday present, along with a lot of guys that I work with. I feel kind of sorry for the guy that was the second person out because he didn't get the big prize. I did. I have to thank my wife. I have to thank the Elite Series and FLW Pros that made this a reality. I guess if you have to get bumped out, this is the right time to get bumped out of the main event.
So he was the first guy out?
So you didn't know this?
I did not know this, no.
So we did the fish and chips this was 11 years ago. We did the fish and chips for a number of years. And his dream had always been to play in the World Series of Poker main event. So I got with Carolyn and we were like, let's do it, but let's have a lot of the pros, like, because he'd been in the industry for so long. So I'd only been working for Jeffries for 3 or 4 years. So I just straight up called Kevin Van Dam and was like, hey, we're doing this for Jeffries' 50th birthday party. Will you donate $1,000 to it? He'd be like, yeah, sure. Works great. Did the same with all the guys. We all pitched in, got him a big giant check. We're at Fish and Chips. We go up there, we sing him happy birthday, give him the $10,000 check and say, hey, you're going to the World Series. He's pumped, right? So he goes through, this is where I was back at the old, where did they used to have it?
They had it at Binion's and then Rio.
Yeah. And so Dave Rush, Dave.
Yeah.
It was right before ICAST, when ICAST was in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it actually worked where it was like World Series of Poker, AVN's ICAST. And so they go early. Dave Rush is like his handler. He gets his draw and he draws day 1A. So for those who don't know, there's so many people in so many rooms. You have day 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. So he draws 1A. So it's the first round where it is. And I guess who had won the year before? Someone famous. Did Negreanu win back then? Did he win one? Or?
Negreanu never won. Moneymaker won in 2003. What year would that have been?
11 years ago.
11 years ago? That would have been 2005.
2013.
Oh, yeah, 2013. Who won in 13? Greg Merson or something?
Yeah, so 2012.
2012. I think 12 might have been Merson, actually. I don't know.
It was, Greg Merson.
Yeah.
So Merson comes up and he does the, welcome to day 1A. They do the whole thing. The cameras are rolling. They go shuffle up and deal. And Dave knew that Jeffries was in trouble because Jeffries, wore sunglasses. I've never seen him wear sunglasses when we play. What he does is he flips his chair around and then he sits there and he puts his hat backwards, but he brought sunglasses. And Dave was like, I feel like that was a sign of weakness. He's like, I feel like that's almost like wearing your jersey out to eat after the club tournament.
Yeah.
And he got bad beat twice. So Dave drops him off. He goes back to the hotel. He's like, they got this hotel. He's going to settle in. He's going to go to the pool. He's got a cabana reserved. He's going to enjoy the day, then go maybe take Jeffrey some lunch, then go pick him up afterwards, right? So he said he drops him off. He said he walks in with him. Jeffries is like, all right, see you, gets a seat assignment. Dave leaves. He said he gets back to the hotel. And he said he's walking through the lobby of the hotel to get back to get ready for his day, and his phone rings. And he's like, what'd you forget? And Jeffries goes, come get me. And he's like, wait, what do you mean? And he's like, come get me. And Dave's like, what happened? He goes, I'm out. And he was the first player eliminated on day 1A.
That's unbelievable. That's crazy. I would like to hear the hands. I'm sure he doesn't remember them, but I'd like to hear the hands.
That would be interesting.
I mean, not to critique it or nothing. Just I'm interested in what he might have got aces almost all in pre-flop, and then somebody flopped a set or something. Who knows? But like there's some hands where it's justified, or he could just have like 10-7 offsuit and try to do something crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll call him and see. I just sent him the link. We'll see if we could get him on for the hands. I'd be interested in that.
What's up, man?
Hey, you're on BTL Live with Kyle Welcher. We're doing this poker bass thing, and we're off down a wormhole, and I played your first out in 2013, and Welcher wants to know what your hands are. I sent you the link on your phone. Can you jump on and go through your hands?
Yeah, hang on.
All right.
All right.
I can't. I guess I could email. Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second here.
He wants to know my hands.
Yeah, he wants to know how you got knocked out first.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see if I got I've got so many damn tabs open, Mark. It's embarrassing. Okay, here it is right here. Kyle Welcher. There's the StreamYard link. Copy link. New mail. You still have the same email? All right, just send it to you. How long before you're on?
Like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right, we'll take a commercial break and then come back. Like, I know you're still bitter about this, but like, bring it. Like, we need some action. Like, really church it up when you tell the story. Okay. All right. See ya. All right, we're way off down it. What's your timetable look like, Kyle, today?
I'm good. I'm good for a while. I got to go get some stuff done at like noon, but I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's 9 o'clock. I remember. I got to mow. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have Jeffries on, and then we'll get into this first segment. I didn't plan on it going this because we haven't even gotten to the controversy.
Right. No.
I mean, I'm interested in he's never actually done it in a good mood. He's always just kind of dismissed it. So I think maybe if we ambushed him, even though it's 11 years later, like I think we might actually get the full story.
I'll be really impressed if he like remembers.
I guarantee he remembers it. Yeah. That's like losing like key fish, dude. Can you not think back to like tournaments decade ago where you're like can remember every moment of like a key fish that you lost?
I can for sure, but it's different with poker because it's like I make sure I'm like away from everything emotionally, so I don't get.
Oh, there we go. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we got Kyle Welcher and Mark Jeffries on the show. It's BTL on a Tuesday. It's completely off the rails. We'll be back after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook. World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top unarmed, Strike King. Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Welcome back, BTL on a Tuesday. Talking with Kyle Welcher, current leader of the NPFL Angler of the Year, 16th in the Bassmaster Elite Series Angler of the Year standings. Were you like slightly nervous at all on the Elite Series? Like you've had like a heck of a comeback this year between the win and then the two top fives. Like it was a little bit of a slow start, and we're like, oh, what's going on? You just won Angler of the Year before, and now you're just like right back up where you were. Yeah,
it was just kind of a frustrating couple tournaments. And if you look at it, man, it's only like 3 bad days. Like I did okay Okeechobee, I did okay day 1 of St. John's, had a catastrophe day 2 of St. John's, which I could have had a giant bag. Same thing happened on Lake Fork. I caught 1 bass on day 2. Same thing happened on Hartwell. I had like a crazy mishap on day 2 of Hartwell and like had a bad day. So I mean, it was just constant. It's just like 3 just catastrophically bad days, and then everything else has been like pretty good.
Cash money. Yeah, I've gotten several emails of like, hey, hang it up in the opens, you suck, stick to podcasting. And I'm like, dude, I fished 4 days in 3 opens this year. We've had 2 one-day opens.
Yeah.
Like you make one bad decision and you're just absolutely tanked. All right, I see him down there. I have no idea where he is. This is a new place.
What's up?
Where are you, Mark?
I'm in my new office, my new home office.
SNU Bowling?
No, my new home office.
Oh, in the house?
Well, no, it's not in the house. I've done some construction out in the building.
Oh, it's okay. Well, it looks very professional. Mark.
Well, you will see when you come by tomorrow.
I know it'll be tomorrow. I'm also we can race our Mustangs. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say that. I'm renting, so my truck's in at Myers Auto. What? That's the truth. Is it at Myers Auto Body for all of the damage to get it fixed from when I hydroplaned? And the guy was like, "You want a Mustang?" And I was like, yeah, at the rental car place. So I've got a convertible gray V6 Mustang in the driveway.
It's a fake Mustang. That's a fake Mustang.
I don't know. It makes some cool noise when you hit the gas. It goes.
It's not a V8. It's a fake Mustang.
And then like when you open, like right before you start it, when you get in, there's like this fake heartbeat, and it's like doo 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 doo. And then there's like a Mustang on the ground if you start it when it's dark. Hey, Kyle, Mark.
What's up, Kyle?
How you doing, man?
All right, man.
We played the video from Bodog Poker where you're the first out, where you won the trip to Malaysia and then the typhoon hit and you never even got to take care of that.
Yeah.
You have to talk openly about this. So much time has passed. There's no reason to be embarrassed about it anymore, Mark. Do you remember the hands that got you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the floor is yours then.
Yeah. The table that I was at was extremely tight. It wasn't a loose table. You know, it was the first hour of the main event. And I had some incredible hands, of which I ended up mucking. Like I had pocket tens, I had pocket jacks, I had ace king suited. I was getting all these cards, but I was really being conservative because everybody else had better cards. And there was one stat that anytime I play poker, I always keep. It's how many hands have you mucked that you could have won? Okay? And there wasn't a single hand that I mucked that I would have won. So I was at 0. So I was feeling pretty confident. 9 people at the table, I think, and I think 7 of them did not speak English. All foreign players. So this is, I don't know, 40 minutes into it, something like that, 30 minutes into it. And after all these incredible hands, I get pocket aces. It's like, all right, here's my chance. So then the flop comes out, ace, 6, 7. So I got trip aces, right? Table was tight, so I'm showing strength, and I raise. I don't remember how much the raise was, but it was pretty hefty raise. And I got a call, and then everybody else fold. So we were 3-handed going to 4th Street. Card comes out. It's the 8. I remember it was the 8 of clubs. So now it's ace, 6, 7, 8 of clubs. Nothing else suited. It's rainbow. Right? So I push again. And one guy folds, and the other guy was from I don't even know where he's from. One of the Pac Rim countries, I think, or Sweden. I don't know. Did not speak English, though. He ends up calling my big raise. So then the river comes out, and it's a nothing card. It's like a two of diamonds, something like that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get up in a hurry. I go all in because I'm thinking I got it. I got it, no problem. And come to find out, the dude, he ended up catching a straight.
Yeah.
And I was the first guy to go out of the World Series of Poker. And I just sat there for a minute and kind of thought, well, that was fun. But I had trip aces, and the river got him a straight is what happened. I don't remember if it was a 2 or whatever it was. But he ended up getting a straight, and he cracked my aces, and I was done. And I remember walking out of the casino, and I went to the parking garage, and I was waiting on Dave Rush to come and pick me up. I called him, and the next thing I know, my phone is blowing up. I mean, blowing up. Numbers I don't even recognize. I have no idea who these people are. So I end up answering them, and all these people want to interview me. Mark, you're the first guy knocked out of the main event of the World Series of Poker. So I tell Dave, and we end up staying for a while, and I do all these interviews with poker magazines and Bodog, and I got to meet players. I got to meet Chris Moneymaker. I got to meet, I can't even remember all the pros that I met. And I was like the man. Well, next thing I know is for being the first guy out of the main event, I got a $10,000 buy-in for the World Series of Poker in Malaysia. Or no, the Philippines. Not Malaysia, the Philippines. So I'm all fired up about that, and I didn't know how to feel. I was like bummed out.
You were livid.
I was furious.
Not a pleasant individual to be around. I found the action though. You had it flipped around. You got beat by aces. You had queens. I found it. You had 2 hands from what I remember. You might have.
I got knocked out with pocket aces.
Okay. Because I just found this. There are pocket aces involved in this. This is from July 6, 2013. 1 down. First player eliminated in 2013 World Series of Poker.
I had pocket aces.
Okay. This is what this says. Our Poker News reporter rushed over to the table to see if he could get any details on spotting the 3 seat sitting with over 50,000 chips, and he asked him for details. Unfortunately, that player couldn't speak English. So the 2 players at the table helped give us a rundown as the hand. Mark Jeffries opened, and then another player 3-bet before Angel Fuentes Rios flatted next to act. I don't know what flatted means. What's that mean, Kyle?
That's just calling the raise.
Okay, flatted next to act. Jeffries pushed out a 4-bet totaling 2,000 to force the initial 3-better out as Rios came along. The flop fell 5-5-6, and Jeffries checked before Rios continued with a bet, only to have Jeffries check raise. Rios called.
I remember that.
When the turn landed, and Jeffries tapped the table again with Rios firing out another bet. Jeffries responded with yet another check raise.
I was
What are you
pushing.
laughing? What are you laughing at, Kyle? You met
The double check raise. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it if you have the best hand. A double check.
Jeffries responded with yet another check raise, and Rios called as the river blanked out. Jeffries checked for a third time before Rios bet out, only to have Jeffries now check raise all in.
Yeah.
Rios called the table and his pocket aces, which was enough to take the pot once Jeffries tabled his pocket queens. Following what?
That's not right.
Was it reversed?
Yeah, that's not right.
No, it couldn't have been reversed because he would have won with the aces.
That is not correct. I had pocket aces.
Following the triple check raise, Jeffries is the first casualty here on day one. Anyway,
yeah, that's all. That's not correct.
It sounded like there might have been a little bit of a language barrier there.
Yeah,
they were just cobbling together whatever info they could get.
Yeah. Now, did I learn a valuable lesson? The cool thing is I ended up getting 10 grand because the seat that they awarded me to the event in the Philippines, they were going to pay airfare, they were going to hotel, everything. And it ended up being canceled because of the typhoon that hit the Philippines. So I ended up getting a check for 10 grand.
So you could go play the next year.
One of these days I will go back and I will play again.
Oh God, here we go.
I will. In fact, I've played. I haven't played that much. I've played, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times the last year. But it is an interesting dynamic now, at least at the poker places around here, that people play reckless now. And I don't know how much you play, Kyle, but they are reckless.
Yeah,
I mean reckless.
Segue nicely into the top level.
You go to a 1-2 table, and it's not a 1-2 table anymore. I mean, it costs you $30-$40 just to see a flop. And then they don't have squat, you know?
It's definitely trending that way where a lot more people are a lot more willing to gamble with a lot more money. It's definitely how it seems. I've only played once this year. I played on New Year's Day, and I haven't played since. But
yeah,
everywhere I go now, it's like a lot more people gamble for sure.
Dave and I talked about this because he was kind of your psychologist after this.
He was.
He still believes that you're mentally, and I said this to Kyle before, but that the fact that you went in with sunglasses on, which was atypical of you when playing poker tournaments, he thinks that the sunglasses were a sign of weakness. Kyle kind of agreed that an amateur status wearing sunglasses maybe isn't the best look in such a big tournament.
I agree, 100%. I will never do that again if I ever get to that point. I just won't. I agree with you. I was freaking pissed though. That was.
You actually avoided ICAST that year because you didn't want. I'm dead serious. I had to go to meetings for Jeffries because he didn't want to walk around ICAST and run into people who had donated to the cause and it'd be like, yeah, I was first out. Yeah. Wasted your money.
Judici gave me all kinds of crap on that. Because he was excited. He thought it was a cool deal, and he's like, "Oh man," he goes, "You're gonna have to hang around 2 or 3 days." I was like, "I didn't even hang around an hour."
Gary Judici ran Blue Heron Communications, big PR firm in the industry.
He did a bunch of back then. He was doing a bunch of stuff with Pure Fishing in Berkeley and all that. But no, man, it was a great experience. In fact, somewhere I still have my buy-in ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to stick around for what we're about to get into, Mark, because we're about to finally segue 50 minutes into the show on what Kyle's actually, besides the fact
what is it?
Kicking everyone's ass. It's this article right here. Unethical, not illegal. What happened at the World Series of Poker main event final table? And
is that where they chopped?
No, that happened recently. This is take a look at this. And this is at the final table, and they're looking at a screen.
Is that the guy that had the $1 million bonus if he won?
No. This is last year that they just came out with the rules within May. That happened last week where they chopped that. That'd be like if you were fishing a jackpot and a guy goes, "Hey, I get $1,000 extra if I win from one of my sponsors, and it's more than if you win. So you let me win, and then we'll split the pot. That's what that's like. That's whatever.
It's like
This is a guy at the main event who won the main event, and he's looking at a screen, and the screen is telling him what to do in a roundabout way. See any parallels to maybe bass fishing? Walk us through kind of what the controversy at the top level of poker has been like the last couple of years, Kyle. I know we've had this conversation a little, and it's a pretty interesting landscape.
Yeah, so that was basically them real time putting in the opponent's hands and like up to date ranges into a solver, so that they could tell the person who's on their team, because typically whenever you make a final table of the main event, you hire coaches to school you up like quickly as they possibly can and like tell you exactly, because a lot of times it's kind of an average guy or like somebody who's a pro but not like at that format that's playing the main event because everybody's in it. And then so like in those tournaments, whenever it gets close to the end, people start reaching out to other people for like coaching and help, and then whoever's the best network typically gets the best help. But they were actually had a computer with a algorithm there that whenever they implemented the hands their opponent was playing, it gave them kind of the optimal approach of which hands they should play in every single position and which ones they should be shoving, calling. It kind of just told them the fundamentals of how they should play against that opponent. And it's not as big of an edge as people think. It's not like it made it where he was 75% to win, but it probably made it where he was like 54% to win or something like that, which whenever you're talking about first place getting $10 million, a 4% edge is a lot of money, So that's kind of what they were doing. And it's obviously there's a parallel there, but there's a lot more parallels in kind of how all that solver stuff, in my opinion and most people's opinion, kind of killed TV poker forever. Like it's not on TV anymore because the people who are playing it are not the same as they were like 2006, 2007. Like you had Helmuth and all these guys who were super emotional and talking and fun to watch and super engaging. They're literally phased out now by a bunch of young guys who are not that entertaining and literally like not emotional. They don't get jacked up for anything. And it's because they understand the numbers and they run these solvers and the algorithms. They know how to play perfectly. And they're literally just implementing a system and they're not fun to watch on TV. And I mean, that was kind of how I was when I played poker. So I get it. But at the same time, I believe, and a lot of other people believe, that's why poker's not on TV like it used to be.
Hey, I have one quick question, Kyle. I know recently, the last couple of times that I played, you are not allowed to have your phone or any electronic equipment at the table anymore.
Yeah, well, there's been like 4 instances of people definitely getting caught cheating with their phone, like 100%.
Yeah.
So
they're scoping. They're scoping
basically
the table, man.
Okay. A couple things here. So if we go back to this article, I want to read this. And it says it's a laptop that has come into question. They weren't watching previous hands. They weren't watching YouTube. They were getting percentage chances on the current hand that was actually in play. It was calling timeout and going to the rail in specific hands. Correct?
Yeah. He didn't do that every hand, but yeah.
Right. Specific hand. So it's a laptop that has come into question as Nitschke was widely believed to be using poker software to run simulators and then relay the information to Tomeo about whether he played the previous hands correctly. Nisho owns DTO Poker Trainer, poker coaching app. Unverified X shows him running the solvers on his laptop during the final round, and he did not deny the accusation when confronted on social media. He appeared to be watching the stream on his phone. It is not against the rules to use a poker solver since he was not in the tournament. There's all sorts of gray areas on stuff on this. But then you mentioned that, and in May, this article comes out, electronic devices, player bans, and more 6 key 2025 World Series of Poker changes you must know. And there's all sorts of just like little stuff here that you have there. But number 3, approved electronic devices, prohibited filming and streaming. and they're kind of like putting a crackdown on this. This caused a major riff in the poker community as to whether it was cheating, whether it was gray area, whether it was legal. Like, there were major pros on both sides of this issue, potentially similar to what we're seeing in fishing with other forms of technology, right, Kyle?
Yeah, to me it seems almost identical. You know, it's a little bit different because, like you said, it's like you're implementing history into a solver. So like the previous hands, and whenever you're fishing, you're using it live, real time during the competition. So it's like in poker, it's more about remembering like what the percentages were and what ranges you're supposed to play, and
how your opponent's playing, what he's folding, what he's calling,
what he should be doing in an optimal situation. And in fishing, you're using the screen for all the information real time. So it's almost a little bit, I mean, if you're against it, it's almost a little worse than fishing, it seems.
But I don't keep up with the current landscape of poker, but you said that it is a lot of, you said the mathematicians, the younger guys, emotionless, just playing by the numbers. And then the more you play in the long run, it averages out as you play the right hands. They're basically playing basic blackjack strategy, except with the poker, where what made it fun in the past was the guys who were making outlandish calls, who were trying to read someone. So you could say the element of reading the bank, the element of making a call is the same as some guy who's like, I don't like the way his eye twitched, I'm calling it. Whereas these guys are going, I don't care what is around me or who it is. I'm doing what the most efficient 10 times out of 10 is going to be the percentage play.
Yeah.
Kyle, I'm sorry, real quick. I just want to add something to that article. I read recently that the trend for online poker is actually decreasing because more and more players are actually using what you talked about, these programs. There is no reading. There's no nothing. It's pure statistical data that is calculating and progressing toward what moves they need to make on the online version, because there's no readability. There's nothing. So the latest trends in online poker is actually decreasing because people are they're losing money.
Yeah. Well, I remember from like 10 years ago, you could open up a software while you were playing online poker on certain sites that kept people's histories, and over their name, it would tell you how often they raised. It's called a PPFR, pre-flop raise. It would tell you the percentage they raised. It would tell you the percentage they 3-bet, the percentage they called 3-bets. All beside their name, it would just have like PFR percentage.
Wow.
All the percentages there. So when you're playing against somebody, it was called a HUD, a heads-up display. It would tell you their exact stats of how they're playing real time or over history. So you would know, like, this guy from this position, he's raising 20%, which that's too low. So he's going to be tighter than average. So I'm not going to call him. This guy's raising 42%, which is way too high. So I'm going to re-raise him because I know he doesn't have all strong hands because he's playing too many hands. So it was like, and that was overlaid real time beside their name when you was playing against them online. And that is 100% the demise of online poker forever. So for the past, like, 10 years, there's been nothing but online poker sites trying to like figure out ways to stay ahead of the HUDs where they're not able to use them on most of the sites. There's still some sites that allow them, but there's a lot of sites that don't. There's even been sites go anonymous so you can't track people, but then people obviously think there's collusion. So it's hard, but that's definitely been the demise of online poker for sure.
Hey, Matt, real quick, do you think this is a situation, let's throw it out there for what it is, a lot of the seasoned veterans on the Elite Series and any of the other tours that exist, their frustration with forward-facing sonar, it's the seasoned vets. Well, the same thing's happening in poker.
Yeah.
We have
the Ivies, the Dan Smiths, Brian Kenny, all those guys, it was entertaining and still is sometimes to watch these guys because you're learning how they play. All right. And they're playing based upon the table, how tight people are, the reads that they're getting. And quite honestly, if you had a 9-player table and everybody had a laptop there, who wants to watch that? Oh, same thing. Who wants to look at 10 guys in the finals of an Elite Series and everybody's doing this?
We're not giving opinions. We're just throwing stuff out, then letting people.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. Is that not a good comparison?
I think it's a good comparison. I think it's the same. And look, I've done both things. Like when I played poker, I was pretty studied, and like I wasn't super emotional, and I wasn't super engaging at the table, and I think that was a mistake. And then I've been on, top 10s of elites where I'm just staring down the entire time, and I'm guilty of both, and I still agree that it's not super entertaining.
All right, let's talk about this then. So number 6, this is the biggest thing they changed. They now have a no info rule in poker, which I don't know if you've been following pro bass fishing this year, but that's been a pretty hot rule. This is funny, just to read about this. Rule 116 could be the hottestly debated rule in the entire rule book. The 2024 rule on talking strategy prohibited discussing strategy with an outside source, i.e. a coach on the rail, while in a hand. That has now changed in a significant way. Players are no longer permitted to discuss strategy with an outside source at any time while the tournament clock is running, and participants are not on break. So the only time a player can legally get coaching while in a tournament this year will be during a break. It won't be as easy policy to enforce, as the floor manager could have a hard time proving a player was talking strategy with someone at the rail as opposed to making dinner plans. So that is another, I would assume, responsive rule change to what went down in the main event. It is hottestly, Hottestly. I didn't know that was a word either, Jody. What are your thoughts on that, Welcher?
I didn't even know they did that. It makes sense because there's so much money given away at the final tables of these tournaments that it makes sense that people don't want to have, whoever's the best network shouldn't just automatically have a better chance. But the exact same thing happened in poker that's happened in fishing. Whenever online poker got big, all these young guys who were up and coming moved into houses together and played poker and learned off of each other. And it was so back 2005, pros didn't even really want to talk and talk strategy with each other because everybody had their secrets. And it was the same in fishing. And then with the online poker, all these guys started being young and up and coming and started working together and learning all this poker stuff and moved into houses and then became the pros. So they started sharing info, and you saw the exact same thing happen in fishing where people started teaming up and networking really, really well and sharing info with each other where, they're super parallel in the info side also, even though now they both have no info rules somehow.
So do you want to see the scariest thing now? If you want to talk about software and AI and prediction. So this isn't even Chat GPT. This is just Microsoft. And all I typed in was, give me the best pattern on Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma bass fishing in June with the water 6 feet high. And I get, here's what I'm supposed, this is nuts. You know this, Mark. So it's saying, early morning, our prime bass are more active in low light, push shallow to feed. Target areas, flooded vegetation and timber with high water bass move in the newly submerged cover, creek channels and points. These act as highways. Eufaula Cove and marshy backwaters, known for the Dead's Cove and bait fish. So it's telling me that I need to fish submerged timber in Eufaula Cove with either a black and orange spinner bait, slow rolling it, or a green pumpkin soft plastic targeting submerged trees.
Wow.
That is the best location, pattern, and baits for Lake Eufaula and Lake June. It literally gave me where to go do with the best baits. And I just typed that into an AI. Focus on the clearer pockets without the stained areas for better visibility and strikes. Wind direction matters. Fish the wind-blown banks where the bait fish are getting pushed into.
Do you think there's 1,000 fish released in Eufaula Cove?
Dude, is that not a little eyebrow raising?
Yeah.
It's a little scary, honestly.
It's going to take the decision making out of everything, honestly. And all these games were, decision making games. It's going to take. Most of the decisions are out of them already.
So here's my question. and this just occurred to me. This may be a Pandora's box question. Can I do that? Can you do that, Kyle? Can anybody in the Opens, Elite Series, BPT, anything go on that the day before the tournament and start and look up those patterns? Is that public information? Is that gathering info? Like what? Where does that fall? Where does that AI pattern stuff fall?
The way I understand it, you can do it until you have to pay for it. Like if there's a subscription base or you have to buy like some kind of a AI software, I don't think you can do that, but I believe you can do whatever you want till you have to pay for it. Because if you can type it in Google, it's public.
Wow. Has anybody done that, Matt?
Yes.
I have, but I guess I need to start.
Wow. Do Grand Lake. See what Grand Lake says right now.
You're good on Grand, Kyle? You don't have anything on Grand?
I don't remember anything on Grand. I don't think I have anything on Grand.
All right. What do you want me to type in, Mark?
Do the same thing. Just substitute Grand Lake. You're sure you don't have anything at Grand, Kyle?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. What is the best way to catch largemouth bass on Grand Lake in Oklahoma in early July with high water that is falling?
Pat, my friend Pat that lives on Grand, he sent me some pictures. He said in the 30 years that he's lived on Grand Lake, he's never seen it as trashed out as it was last week before the 4th of July weekend. I'm curious what it pulls up.
I can. Got to be similar to you follow. Just a different.
Hey, while he's doing that, Kyle, what off the top of your head, what is your worst bad beat that you can remember?
So the worst one I can remember is it was like the first time I ever played 2-5. It was the first time I jumped up in stakes, and I was playing 2-5, which at the time was pretty big, and I got pocket jacks, and I bought in for like 700, and I was already up to almost 2,000, and I got pocket jacks, and the flop came like Jack 8. It came like Jack 8-6. So there's no straight possible, and then I bet, and this woman raised, and then this dude raised, and then I go all in. So we go all in 3 ways, and I got top set, which at the time is the nuts. The girl calls and the man calls, and they both got me covered. So now it's like a $7,000 pot, and it was probably like a $6,500 pot. So it's Jack 8-7 with like 2 hearts, and they both have a flush draw. And the woman has an ace high flush draw, and the guy has a straight flush draw. He has like 9-10 of hearts or whatever, and he ends up making the straight flush. So it wasn't that it was that bad of a beat, because it's pretty standard, but it was just at that point in time that was a huge amount of money that I needed.
Pocket jacks are brutal, man.
Well, whenever you flop a set, you got, the best hand at the time. Like, but I knew whenever we got all in, I was like, I got to fade some stuff, and it didn't work out. So I just rebought and still ended up winning on that session. But it was that one kind of stung for a little while.
Yeah, that's painful right there.
I've had some flush draws hit on me, and I've actually hit some 1-outers where I had like one time I had the flop came King 8-2. And a guy had pocket kings, another guy had pocket 8s, and I had pocket 2s, and we all got all in, and I hit another 2. So like I've hit some bad beats on people, but that was near the amount of money.
Yeah. Any luck?
I don't want to show this.
Why? Do you have something going on at Grand, man?
No, it's just scary. When Grand Lake is flooded, I said, give me the best pattern on Grand Lake, Oklahoma in early July for bass fishing with flooded conditions, but the water is dropping and stained. What are specific spots? So it says target transition zones, bass pull off flooded cover as the water drops, focus on secondary points, drains, and channel swings near previously flooded areas. That's how the high school tournament was just won. Spinner baits, white and chartreuse. Hey, Jason Christie. If you ask him, he won 17 BFLs on a white and chartreuse spinnerbait in the mid-lake region. What? Dude, that's the standard joke. There's 8 BFL articles out there where Jason Christie won every BFL of the mid-lake region on a white and chartreuse spinnerbait as a standard answer. Texas red creature baits flip into the remaining flooded bushes or isolated cover, square-bill crankbaits, bang them off, and then top waters early. Specific areas: Drowning Creek, excellent for flipping flooded brush and working secondary points. Duck Creek on the western side, known for docks and brush piles, ideal for pitching jigs or soft plastics. Honey Creek near Grove, good mix of rock and wood, fish transition zones as the water recedes. The Elk River Arm, often overlooked, but holds quality fish in stained water, target laydowns and bluff ends, and bridge riprap, especially around the Sailboat Bridge area. Crankbaits and jigs work well here as bass stage on structure.
That is scary. Wow.
That is a little absurd. That's a little too far.
I wasn't planning. I didn't know. I knew this was going down. I don't know if that needs to be out there. It's out there.
Maybe that's what everybody does. All the elites.
Look, guys are. I can't speak. I know there are people that are very, very deep into that.
Do you think that gets banned?
I don't know how it can get banned.
How do you ban that?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Jody
White, Jody, Chat BTT told me what I'm going to do this evening at Ashmere Lake. Would like a report. Dude, if you win on it, Jody, I'd like you to jump on BTL tomorrow, along with the newest Elite Series champion, Wes Logan. I don't even know where to go from there. Like, I wasn't planning on doing that. It was mainly just the poker thing. Are you a little surprised on that, Kyle? Like, you seem a little bit like,
Yeah, it's a little too far. Like, I felt like you would give like general overviews, but it's like giving the names of places and like the actual things you should be specifically target. I figured it would be like kind of a overview, but it's pretty specific. Like, and it's
that's
all
crazy.
All the places that are most famous, definitely on Grand. It sounded like it's crazy. It's a little too far.
And I'm not even on like a good one. I'm just on whatever comes with Microsoft.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna call the tournament director and see if it's allowed. How much of that I can do before we go to a couple more tournaments.
I know I'm gonna get calls on this because I've had a couple guys that are like, "Hey, don't talk about this on BTL."
Yeah.
And I just talked about it on BTL. Not to like spite them, it
was a technology segment. We had to do it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's not like a big secret.
Yeah.
I mean, I used it to fix my starter solenoid.
Right.
I mean, it gave me step-by-step stuff on how to test it. I was like, okay, I got to get a screwdriver and I've got to bypass and I've got to turn this on and this off. And then if I get a spark here and it tries to start, then I know it's not the starter. And then I know it's the starter solenoid. And it walked me through how to test to make sure it's not my safety thing in the seat. And then it walked me through how to make sure I wasn't going to electrocute myself while I took it off. So I took the battery off. I mean, that was all AI stuff.
Hey, Matt, check this out. I found this when I was moving everything.
Oh, dang. Can I get that in the studio or do you want it?
No, I'm going to get a frame for it. That was the first one.
Are you keeping that or is that not for the studio? Yeah, dude, it was big time. Zona, Van Dam, Skeet Reese, Dean Rojas, Crete, McClellan, Rick Klun, Guy Eaker. I mean, dude, it was big time.
Van Dam told me it was the funnest tournament he had ever been in.
What was the entry fee on it? Did people have to pay entry fees?
$5,000 or $2,500 entry fee. Jeffries had to DQ Guy Eaker
for fishing in a no fishing area,
and then he also had to DQ Rick Klun for using a net one day.
Yeah.
That's a trivia question. He's the only tournament director who has DQ'd both Guy Eaker and Rick Klun. The answer is Mark Jeffries.
Did you make the final table that year, Matt?
I made the final table every single year of the Fish and Chips, Mark.
Okay.
But that first year, was when you did the final table down at Riverwind down here, and there were like 450 entries because it was like the mixture where you got your points, but they made their money because they opened it up, and it was a $50,000 first place.
Yeah.
And it was the first live tournament I'd ever played in. And all of a sudden, like 7 hours later, like I'm at the final table along with Clark Ream, who had no idea what he was doing, and Fred Kintawi, who had a little piece of paper that told him what beat what. And then the rest were local poker pros who were there for the money. And I'm sitting there going, my God, it was a full payout. I'm like, this is like life-changing money to me. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Do you not remember that? That was wild.
Yeah.
And those two got there because they like literally didn't know how to play. And all the locals were terrified to go up against them. They had no freaking clue what they had.
Yeah. So Kyle, do you think we could pull that off again? Do you think there's enough guys out there now that would be okay with a fish and chips?
I don't know any. I mean, I think Zaldane plays poker, and but I don't know anybody else.
McClellan.
McClellan still plays, yeah. But
Jeremy Lawyer.
So
McClellan.
These are some of the names that's on this poster: Ski Reese, Paul Elias, Swindle, McClellan, Kelly Jordan, Pete Pons played.
He's still rolling.
Casey Ashley.
It's a very strong group.
Some I can't even read.
Oh, it's 2011. I want to see. What were you doing in 2011, Kyle?
I was in high school.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that's going in your studio, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'm at least amassing some cool stuff now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man.
Were there like 40 teams?
Yeah. And then you did a half your deal in fishing and half of your points in poker. We would have won it one year. Dude, I fished with Rambanis, and that's not the punchline. He's laughing not because I fished with Rambanis, but because of the story.
Yeah.
And we finished third in the fishing. He made some wild calls, like would drive 20 miles and be like, I think we should just go back to, I just feel like back where we just left is probably our best chance. And we would just U-turn without even fishing and drive 20 miles back. He'd drop the trolling motor, catch a 5-pounder first. Like that, like that type of stuff. Like, I mean, he was listening to himself. And so we're playing the poker, and the whole deal is we got to stay in it for the overall. And the overall paid 20 freaking grand. And it got down to a point where I had done the math, and I'm like, dude, if we blind out, like neither of us plays another hand, like there's no way we don't win first overall. Like there's no chance. Like we both had really healthy stacks of chips. Like you look at the progression of the blinds, like I'm looking at who could beat us, and like they're already out or they've got short stacks. And I'm like, dude, like we're not even playing anymore. Just blind out. 10 minutes later, Fred goes all in. And like there's down to like 3 tables, and I literally remember going, what the hell? And I look back and he's pushed it all in. That dude called all in after the river on a 4-card straight. And we lost to Mark Robinson by half a point overall.
That's a bad beat for you. It's not a bad beat for him.
Horrible beat for both of us. Plus that big trophy with the poker chips and the glass etching on it that you had Big Dave do and stuff.
Yeah.
It's the toughest defeat of my life.
I think you could do it again. I do think you could do it again. I think there'd be enough people that are just interested in trying it.
It would be cool. Timing, the time of the year, and every time we had it, it was always in October or November. It was in the fall. It was a little dicey one year that we had it at Grand weather-wise. It snowed for a little bit, but most of the time. The biggest thing is scheduling and trying to get that date. You can't really get anything set up with a casino until you say, look, here, this is going to be the date. This is what we're going to try and do. Yeah. as Matt is well aware, I'm a big proponent of any of the organizations starting a senior tour. This would be cool because I know a lot of the guys that are retired or no longer fishing that were mentioned on that poster. I think having an event and showcasing Rick Lund and some of the guys that have been around forever and turn it into a meet and greet and kind of really showcase the guys that are now removed from tournament fishing, as long as the fans would appreciate the opportunity to interact with the guys that really made the sport.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You want to close this off? You want to get just completely pumped up, Kyle, to close this off? So we'll send you out of here just completely jacked out of your gourd.
I'm not really a jacked up person.
Oh, if this doesn't jack you up, nothing will. We're going to go full screen. There it is. Jeffries can't fire me anymore, so I can do whatever I want. We're going to go. We're going to share audio, and we're going to watch.
No.
The latest rendition.
Oh, come on, man.
The pump up for SNU bowling. Southern Nazarene getting ready for the Crosstown Clash. September 20th. You ready for this? We'll just give you a little taste. You can go to snubowling.com if you want to donate to the program, if you want to work on it. But I got hair standing up on my arm already.
Jeez.
Here we go.
Which one is it? Oh, that's... Oh.
Show something with the team.
Pass these around, all right? Here's some pencils. I want you all to write down.
Anyway, I can't show any more of that because I won't be able to monetize the show. But
that's not
I'm
the
just
latest
saying.
one. I'm glad you didn't show the latest one.
What, the latest one's better than that?
Oh, much better.
Are you ready for the Crosstown Clash versus History versus Oklahoma Christian? Ooh, that is a big matchup, to be honest with you.
Well, it's the first time in the history of college bowling that we're doing the format that we're doing, and we're really close to getting a title sponsor for this event. It's going to be an annual event, and all eyes on college bowling are going to be watching this because of the different format that we're going to use. So really excited about that. It's cool. It's cool for the kids. We're bringing bleachers into the bowling center, Matt.
Are you doing the catch-away release version of bowling?
No. No, but there will be
as many pins as you can in an allotted amount of time. Like you just go lane to lane to lane to lane, and then they count up your total pins at the end.
No.
All right. We're going to let Kyle go. You good, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey,
You're
good
the man.
seeing you, Kyle.
I appreciate it. Thanks for rolling with that. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. See y'all.
All right, later.
Hey, Matt, real quick. Somebody on the comments said, what is it? Ask Mark in 5 years will forward-facing sonar ban on all 3 tours. Do you see that one?
I saw it. I don't want to get into the controversy. I just want to draw parallels, talk about comparisons and stuff. What are your thoughts? I don't think so. I don't think there's any way in hell it'll be banned.
It's a money
totally
deal.
Banned.
It's a money deal. That's all it is.
I don't think it's as big of a money deal as some people make it out to be.
If it wasn't that big of a money deal, they would ban it.
I don't think so.
I think it's totally driven by money. And
you want my honest opinion? My honest opinion on what I think happens in 5 years is, I think you still have a hybrid. You still have one without it, but I think you're going to lose the more it goes the way it looks like it's going. And then you're going to end up with a couple investors, primarily electronics companies, and you're going to have a electronics tour, and you're going to lose 80 to 90% of your talent that has come into every single one of the professional leagues over the last 5 years. And
Interesting.
you're going to end up with a bunch of guys that are fishing a tour that they can scope on, put as many transducers on, you can highlight it, because that's just what I think is going to happen. I've talked to people about that who don't think it is, but I think it is going to happen.
Funding for that would
I enjoy watching it. Like, I enjoy watching scoping tournaments.
Well, it's cool when they put the screen on the feed. That's cool. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that was a huge
I'm not
asset.
trying to get but if it's just from an enjoyable standpoint, like, I really liked the way they caught him at 10 killer. You had some top water, some bush flipping, a little bit of scoping.
Yeah.
But I also was really looking forward to watching how those guys broke it down with scope offshore.
I get it. Let me ask you this. Do you think
Psycho Willie, you can say, and nobody will watch? I will watch, so at least one person will.
well, that would be quite the concept, because now you could get all the scoping.
But I think then you have but if you think about it, then you could have all of your traditional bait companies, your flipping, your spinner baits, your crankbaits, they can pour their money into a deal where all their guys are using it every day, right?
Yeah.
And on the other side, you can have your jig and minutes. You can have those same companies, but they can promote their other products, and you can have the tech stuff. To me, that works, and it slowly becomes like a difference between like NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One.
I get it.
You have some that are going in between it. You got some crossover and stuff, but like in all reality, it's like different. Like, you don't really compare NASCAR to Formula One. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Like, your NASCAR is the no scope. Go out, freaking catch them, take a 5-minute break to freaking chug the juice out of a can of Beanie Weenies and eat the sausages.
Yeah, but
sausages.
Hang on, time out, man. The big thing about NASCAR is they try to get every single car as equal as possible. Yeah. In other words, nobody has an edge in NASCAR.
So I'm just saying, in my mind, the way I'm looking at it, like, NASCAR would be like, if you're going to have like one and then a hybrid and then a no holes barred, like, NASCAR would be the NPFL of today's, like, just as far as like everyone is the same, like, as far as technology, like, no live scope, no forward facing, whatever. Yeah. I think they should take 360 off too. That makes no sense to me why you would have live scope or no forward facing and then allow threes. Well, it's not live. You're still looking out in front of the boat and around the boat. You're still, I think the people who make that argument have never been in the boat with 360. I'm still convinced a lot of people who are the most upset about it do not use it or have not used it. But I think you take away that. So that is like your NASCAR. Then your IndyCar is like kind of your hybrid, right? So you've got like elements of NASCAR and you've got elements of Formula One. And then you have like your highbrow Formula One, which is, oh my God, 9 transducers, 25-inch screens. Look at how much it costs. It's so much out of reach of everybody. This is completely unrelatable. That's Formula One.
That's a good point. It's a great point.
And they're all great. And there's a lot of people who watch all of them. There's a lot of people who watch NASCAR who's like, screw the other two. There's a lot of people at Formula One who think they're better than IndyCar and NASCAR.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. Because of all the technology and everything that you do and how the tours have evolved, are the people from the past relevant anymore? In other words, there are players, I'm just going to say it, like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan still impacts the game in some aspects, even though the game has changed and he's not really totally involved with the game anymore as an owner, as a player, as, everything else. But Michael Jordan is still vitally important to the game of basketball. Is Kevin Van Dam still that vitally important to the world of professional fishing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Tell me how.
He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
Okay, I get it. but has the relevant status.
I don't understand how Michael Jordan would be more. I don't understand how he would be more relevant than a Kevin Van Dam 5 years after. Or
He's
3
not
years
more.
after
He's
retirement.
still he is still relevant.
How is he? How is Michael Jordan still relevant in the sport?
Because of his involvement with Nike.
Okay, how is Kevin Van Dam not relevant in the sport with his involvement with Luz and Strike King? And
that's what I'm
president
asking.
Of USA Bass that are headed to the Worlds this year.
That is what I'm asking.
Bass Pro Shops behind the scenes. He has the Van Dam experience. He's big in R&D. Like, I think he's just as relevant as when he was fishing.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
All right.
Like Jody White, he said, I would say Van Dam is more relevant than Jordan because he's a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Great point. But are our products, our elements of the game really being pushed, and the younger anglers that are out there trying to make a living doing this, do they know the relevance and the importance of Kevin Van Dam? Yes or no?
90% of them. I mean, it's just like this. There's some guys that are students of the game and some guys that aren't. I guarantee there's a bunch of guys that do stuff, with the way their stuff is set up that, Kevin might maybe pioneered and stuff that don't realize it. But I mean, like, is it relevant to Trey McKinney? No. Is it relevant to Kyle Patrick? Yes. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just, are you a student of the game? Like, how important is the past and to you? Like, and you know where the sport came from and how it evolved and why it evolved and why, like I said, I need to give you this. This is Newell's book. Do you have a copy?
I do not.
Egos, Logos, and Fishing Pros. It's an educated read. Like, I don't know how else to say this. I'll just say it the way, when I read it and Courtney asked, how was it? I said, it was really good because I have lived through most of the stuff that was in this book.
Yeah.
But like, if you were coming in and didn't understand professional bass fishing and some of the nuances of it, I feel like you'd be like super confused because you wouldn't understand the importance of some of the chapters in here. It's like it's a very well-written book from if you are like up to date on your stuff, like, it's a gem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a compliment, right? It's not, but I also wouldn't have enjoyed a here's how it works type of book. I'm just curious as to how many people relate, can understand some of the stuff he says in here. And I think he's got to be a little bit careful too, because I mean, he still is in the industry. Who was the dude who wrote the book and then got blackballed from the industry?
Hey, put Pete's comment up. That's interesting. Says he's learned way more from KVD. Very interesting. So,
I have not mentioned this. Meat Eater just did a podcast about banning FFS from a wildlife resource standpoint. I am about a quarter of the way through that episode, and not that it matters what the hell I think or not, but I had some very strong reactions. Some of the things in the first quarter. So I'm going to wait and get some time before I bring that back.
Hey man, it was cool you having me on. The one thing about completely redoing what I got here is I ran across a bunch of stuff.
Can you give me a tour?
Yeah, you mean right now? No.
Yeah, no.
I can't go mobile. You'll see it tomorrow when you come over. But I ran across some stuff that was really cool and brought back some memories. And when you texted me and said, "Hey, can you jump on for a minute?" And now since I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it, I just get the feeling that sometimes what has been done in the past has been forgotten because so much focus is on the now. Does that make sense?
100%. But there's not. Where is the money? Like, how do you make money focusing on the past? Like there's so many people that care about the past in the big stick and ball sports and in the golf and the sports that bring in millions and billions of dollars that people can make a living and the organizations can afford to have a team of people that track, catalog, save, document. I mean, I'm on the board for the Hall of Fame. We try to figure out like how to do some of that stuff. It's all volunteer.
Yeah.
Obviously Ken Duke is the number one guy in the world when it comes to the historical documentation. The guy doesn't make a cent off of it. Like, that will not exist until there's enough people to where that either it's big enough to where the organizations can pay for people to do that full time, or there's enough interest in it from enough amount of people to independently be able to do it.
So let me ask you this. Do you think they just had the huge high school tournament at Grand. When was it? Last weekend?
Yeah.
And they had 600 kids there or some
I don't know. I honestly cannot find the full results. I can find the top 10 and everything else. The link is broken on exactly how many boats there were. I can't find an article where it said how many boats there were.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, hey, let's just get them all in here and out of here.
I'm very curious as to, let's say they had 500. How many of those 500 kids really know the impact that KVD had on this industry?
I don't know. Some of them, I get emails from them. My phone keeps dinging. Very unprofessional, and I thought I'd turn it on the do not ding 7 times, and it hasn't. Who's texting me?
It's all right. But the Michael Jordan comment that I made, every single high school player that is serious about high school basketball knows who Michael Jordan is. Does every single high school kid that fishes, does he know the impact and know how important that KVD was?
I would venture to say there's a bunch of young dudes balling that don't understand the impact Michael Jordan had. I think it's this exact same thing.
Totally disagree.
No, I don't. That's why they have all the arguments about which generation and all that, because the generation you lived through is the generation that you think is the best.
Well, see, here's the bottom line, man. What was done in the past doesn't really matter anymore because of the now. Because of the way things are right now, does the past matter?
Yeah, the past matters because it's the history of the sport. Now, do I think there's an asterisk? You could take the asterisk and shove it where. There's not an asterisk on any tournament win since Live Scope win. Seriously, get a freaking life if you think there needs to be an asterisk next to him. But will it be the technology era 20 years from now? Absolutely. Because it'll either be the thing that jump-started what we're doing 20 years from now, or it'll be the Wild West era where we realized that things had to be monitored, curtailed, standardized. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We lived back through the split in 19 and the Alabama rig in 2011. This will be these last 2 years, this 3 to 5 year period right here will be the technology period. It's not good. It's not bad. It's the history of the sport. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of guys that are still alive, that are still in the sport, that were here for the creation of it in the early years of it. So we're treating this like a sport that has a century foundation when it doesn't. It's always been fluid. It's always changed. There's never been since you started covering this, have you ever seen a rule book that stayed the same for more than 2 consecutive years, Mark, or a format or a league or an ownership or anything in fishing?
Yeah.
Longest thing is the Elite Series at 17 years.
Yeah. It was funny. I found some of the press guides, the media guides. We went through those, but just to look through there and see some of the guys that are no longer around and all that and everything. Believe me, I still love the game and I still watch it every now and then. Obviously, I try to get on the lake and get on the water as much as I can now, but it just seems, I get the feeling from being removed that somehow, some way, it seems like to me that the past doesn't matter. That's everything
you are on Facebook. You got to get off Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook, dude. I'm not. All right. It's just, I just feel
where do you get that feel? Where? Give me an example.
I get that feel. The stuff that I see from a promotional standpoint, okay, within the industry is all related for the most part for the now. I don't.
Yeah. Why would it not be? Back then that stuff was for the now. And there were guys like Guido Hibden and Larry Nixon. And dude, go back and look outside of the icons. That's the now is what sells.
I get it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that sometimes that looking at the impact of the past really doesn't exist right now. It just doesn't, because everything is about the now, Matt.
It is. He said, agree with Mark. Nike Air Jordan says it all. I would venture to say that there were a lot of high school kids that used KVD loose rods and reels, which is the equivalent to Nike Air Jordans, or a lot of them that used Reese fishing stuff, or a lot of them that used Signature Series stuff from KVD.
Yeah.
I mean, how many KVD 1.5s and how many KVD crankbait do you think he was used? That's the equivalent of a shoe in basketball. So yes, still very relevant.
Here's the thing, Matt. When you're removed from it, for the most part, like me, and the typical fan is not entrenched as deep as you are, you get a clear picture of the status, or really the motion that the game is in right now. And the motion right now is it's all about the now. Everything is about the now. And you have I would say, even though you're doing it as a volunteer, you and the Hall of Fame, I think, have a duty is not the right word, a dedicated opportunity to showcase the history of this game. Because I say all this in my last statement about this, and we'll move on or finish or whatever.
Dude, I got to put a starter solenoid in and mow my yard.
The past is too important to overshadow the past with the now.
That's a fair statement. Right? Where can people pick up SNU swag, Mark?
We're going to have a team store that's going to launch the end of July or 1st of August. And you can get all kinds of SNU swag.
Look at the power stance. I agree with what you said, Mark. That's a well said.
Yeah.
Very well said.
All right, dude. Thank you.
Thank you for jumping on. Guys, that was all over the place. Kyle did not sign up for that, so I appreciate Kyle Welcher coming on. I couldn't tell whether he was a little bit scared about the AI stuff, whether he didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, whether he didn't know.
That's scary stuff, man.
Here's what I'll say about Kyle Welcher. If you pay attention and listen and watch his YouTube and his videos, you know that he is highly intelligent. That dude is one of the top 3 smartest anglers in professional fishing. He will be for a long time a year. The things that go on between his head and between his ears that I didn't even ask him about as to why he's at the top of the standings on that are highly impressive. He's got the Alabama accent, and he looks like a guy who just gets in the boat and grinds around, flips a couple docks, throws a chatterbait around some grass, and just comes across big fish every now and then. That dude is meticulous. He is calculated. He is smart. He has a game plan. He has a system. He works on it. He strives to get better. It is a 365-day a year, 24-hour-a-day job to him. And he prides himself in being precise and exact, and is at an entirely different level than 98% of the other guys that are playing the exact same game he is at the top level.
I can see that. Yeah.
There's a reason why he's on the teams and the sponsors that he has. And there's a couple of those deals where, like, you could tell what the industry or what other people think about pure raw talent and work ethic of anglers based on what is on the side of their boats and jerseys.
Yep.
And he's in that group.
Yep.
Dog in this fight. He's not below stage. He won't ever listen to this. He's got bigger fish to fry.
All right, you're coming over tomorrow, right?
That's no. Gleason's in crap. We're in trouble. So Courtney's in town. She flies into Stillwater now.
Yeah.
I have to pick her up at 2. And then I just scheduled golfing with Gleason tomorrow. He's in town. His wife's, Randy's niece, is a barrel racer in Guthrie.
Okay.
And they're at Guthrie.
What time's your tea time?
I told him 10 o'clock. Well, I'll talk to you off air.
All right.
We'll figure it out. Because Wednesday evening might work.
All right. We'll figure something out.
Or if it's important, I can just tell him to go kick rocks. Sorry, you're in town for the one time a year that you're camping there, but I got to go race Mustangs.
No, man, I don't want to take away from your golf game. I'll call you later.
I played once in the last 3 years, bro.
You know what I did? I gave AJ,
which is funny because I'm playing with that now. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Oh, that is cool.
And then look at the back.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. No, I gave my great set of pings and my ping drivers to AJ. He's getting into golfing.
Really? What's he up to?
Is
he still coaching?
No, he got his MBA, and he is some type of athletic administrator at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Not really sure what he's doing.
Do they have a bowling program?
No.
I was going to say that would be crazy if you would go up against your son's program.
No,
not
Mark's
still flying?
Yep. Doing the Delta thing. And he tells me all the time, people are crazy. People are crazy, man.
Pete, that's why this is in the studio and not in my golf. That's why it's in the studio and not in my golf bag, Pete.
Yeah. People are crazy.
Yeah.
So, no, man, things are good.
Do you want me, when we do get together, do you want me to bring my dual gold medals over so you can touch them?
Yeah, bring them. I want
see them right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see it up close and personal. No, what I do want you to do is bring me some fish.
What type?
Salmon.
So the reds are still in Alaska, but I do have a very limited supply of smoked that I came back and I put in little packs of 1 and 2 pieces of smoked. So it's going to be just like a whistle wetter.
Wait till the other stuff comes in. I'll get it then.
All right.
I'll get it then.
All right, that's it. I'll close the show out without you. We're 2 hours late. See ya.
All right. See you, man.
Thank you. So, Wes Logan tomorrow. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Kyle Welcher. Thanks to all the people who've been here for 2 hours. There was someone else that was in Alaska. I don't want to say it, but we may be on the verge of seeing a friendly face in studio for the first time in quite some time. So, all right, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'll delete it if it's a dumbass comment, an educated comment that has to do with the discussion that we had this way, either for or opposed. I'm totally cool with opposition, with what you think about this whole thing. A lot of parallels going on in a lot of other sports. It's not just fishing; it's everything. A lot of the individual sports, because everyone's trying to gain an edge. We're all individual sole contractors trying to gain an edge, make a living doing this, and that's how innovation happens, is to try to get a little bit better than the guy next to you, work a little bit harder, catch a bigger fish, hit a ball farther, get an up on a hand. This has been another edition of BTL. Same place, same time tomorrow. We'll talk to everyone then. See ya.